The University of Nebraska-Lincoln is welcoming back a familiar face to campus, this time in a new role.
Nebraska Nightly's Sophie Farrell sat down with the university's new interim chancellor, Katherine Ankerson.
This is the first chance we get to hear from the interim chancellor since stepping into this role. If you recall, UNL underwent cuts totaling more than $27 million. That is just one of the topics that interim chancellor Katherine Ankerson talked about when she sat down with me in this exclusive interview. So, Chancellor Ankerson, you're stepping into the role as interim chancellor at kind of a difficult time for UNL. So how has your past experience in leadership in this university helped prepare you for this role you're stepping into?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking it, Sophie. You know, I do have a long history with this university. I came here in 1996 as a faculty member and then was here for 15 years, left to be a department head and came back to be dean. And each of those experiences, leadership experiences, as well as a faculty member, have really formed how I approach the leadership in general. But I think even more basic than that, my Clifton strengths, right? Learner, belief, achiever, futuristic, strategic, coupled with my architectural background, the design process, really looking at problems and listening and trying to identify them, and then multiple viable solutions. All of those meld together with my experiences to really have this be a leadership experience at just the right time, and hopefully as a help to UNL to lead us through.
For sure. So after the vote of no confidence and the recent cuts, there's been a lot of distrust in administration and leadership, and how are you going to work to rebuild the trust for both students and faculty?
You know, trust is a fragile thing, right? Once it's broken, it takes time to build back up, and it takes intention and sincerity. I am a listener. You know, it's part of what I do. The learner aspect of my strengths means that I listen well. And over the last, let's see, I'm in my third month, so about 2.5 months I've been in this position. I have been with more groups at workshops, in roundtables, meeting one-on-one, not only with our students and our faculty and our staff, including all of the shared governance, right? But with alumni and stakeholders, donors, legislators, Chamber of Commerce, all trying to not smooth the waters, but to try to help people understand the importance of the role of UNL and to listen to our people and to try to forge a path forward. So that is resulting in our Bold Path Forward, which is a strategic framework which really epitomizes listening, engagement, because we're engaging faculty, students, staff, stakeholders, community members, advisory boards, to really provide input based around the 5 pillars and different initiatives. And so that's a fast-paced process. We're engaged in it right now. Ultimately, what will happen is this summer, like input will be due by May 9th, and then this summer we'll coalesce it with a group of the department leaders, and we'll publish what we heard from people and map that to what the new framework will be that will guide us for 3 years. So I think, you know, part of your question is how to approach this. And I feel like it's much as you described, with feeling like this is a family, that you love being here and you're supported in this college and in this studio. Our university should be like that, right? Our culture should be like that, so that we're working together seamlessly towards a positive future. And that's what our Bold Path Forward does.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I kind of going off of that, how are you able and how are you planning to bring in faculty in the decisions and being transparent? Because I know that was a big concern, especially with the budget cuts and how they kind of felt like there wasn't a lot of communication with them prior. How do you plan on like kind of transparency within all the work that you're going to do.
Yeah, transparency is so important, and also working with shared governance. And I believe strongly in shared governance, but that also has a responsibility for trust both ways, to build trust both ways, no matter what the group is. And as you mentioned about how do I plan to work with faculty, I've been doing so through the shared governance format, right? So I meet regularly with the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, and I meet monthly with the Faculty Senate. But I think in smaller groups like the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, we're able to have conversations and really get at the meat of issues. And that's a way to develop trust. And so I'm a fan of talking about things early in the process, rather than getting all the way down a path and then saying what's wrong with this or what's right with this. But let's help co-create it and build it together. And that's where I think success really comes through.
Yeah. As someone who has served as a professor and as a dean, you're very student focused, and I can see that in the approach that you're taking. So what are some specific ways that you hope to improve student life for students here at UNL? Well,
I came for Admitted Student Day last Saturday, and it was so refreshing and so energetic. Like the vibe on campus was amazing, right? So I had a chance to speak with families and their prospective students, and with our current students who were helping with the event, and with faculty who were helping with the event, and staff who were helping with the event. And you may know there's more than 500 clubs that students can be a part of through student life. And the kind of cohorts that live together on different floors of student housing. Our dining services are pretty amazing. I think hopefully you agree with that, but I've heard rave reviews about that.
I brag about it.
And our student government is led by people who really care and have a seat at the Board of Regents table. And so there's lots of opportunities. There's also different cohorts within academic programs where you can build camaraderie, and that will last a lifetime, honestly. And so, we're constantly, whether it's student experience, whether it's faculty experience or staff experience, I think as a university, it's our responsibility, but it's also really an honor to be on this path of continuous improvement. I think nothing should be static, in my view. We're always questioning, trying to improve, and that's a continuous cycle. Yeah. And it takes all of us to do that.
For sure, for sure. And so in the past 2.5 months, I'm sure you've been extremely busy, probably much busier than you were expecting to be this year, but what is something maybe that surprised you, or comments that you've heard that surprised you from students, faculty, or anything in the role?
It's kind of tough to surprise me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
So that's one we might need to take another take on.
Totally fair, totally fair. Let me see. So a lot of concern with state and federal funding has taken cuts to research and development. And what steps are you taking to restore, support, and protect all the opportunities that we have on campus right now?
Well, a research institution like we are relies heavily on that federal funding, on state funding, but as we look across the landscape of research and the different aspects of, at first it was F&A rates that were going to change, and and funding that was held. We're working very hard. We have our government relations people are constantly working with the state legislators, with federal contingent. Our Vice Chancellor, our Interim Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, and teams of people, including people from the colleges, researchers, are frequently in Washington, D.C., meeting with program officers of NSF or NIH, and developing those relationships and understanding things are changing minute by minute. And so being on the front edge of what might be changing so that we can be in front of it. So those are just a few examples, but I meet with legislators, and really that's about describing the value of UNL and the work that we do. And much of that comes through students and developing students for the rest of their life, right? To be inquisitive and curious learners for their whole life. But much of it is through the research that we do and the wide plethora of research topics, so that helping people understand the research impacts into their work or their lives helps put things in perspective of why we should support it. And so that's a role that we should all be prepared to embark on.
What, after your time as interim chancellor, what impacts do you hope to have had on University of Nebraska-Lincoln?
Great question. I think the largest impact that I can have is to prepare us for the future. And when I say that, that can seem like a very straightforward or simple answer, but I think that preparation really is a very layered approach. So we have to be prepared with our infrastructure. Right? We're working with some infrastructure that's fairly old, whether it's HR systems or anything else. And our people in Nebraska make things work, and so we've made things work. But we need to prepare ourselves for the future. We need to make sure that we are questioning and prepared for what that future might hold, which might be a little bit different than it is right now, but it might not, right? So we just have to be open to that. So that openness is an impact that I hope I can bring without fear, right? Just exploring what we might be and how we might continue. I mean, our faculty are preparing people for the future, for future jobs with the processes and literacies and proficiencies that are needed to go not only into that first job, but to really continue learning and to continue making an impact, because we know things will continue to change. And so my impact will be to make that even better, will be to help develop processes that are seamless, and so that they enable people to do their work in the best way, enable students to learn in the best way, so that we can focus on what matters so much to us, and that is preparing people for the future, helping invest in Nebraska, and continuing that legacy.
Thank you so much. I can say this on behalf of everyone at the college. We're so thankful that you joined us here at the College of Journalism today. It's so cool as a student to be able to see the upper level administration really connecting with us, and hearing how much you care makes me even prouder to be a student here, and proud to say that I am a University of Nebraska-Lincoln student.
All right.
So
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you so much.